found among the remains. By Berthold Gambrel. Read by the author. Beyond the rolling plains, beyond the haunted wood, there lies a long benighted clime. They say that once 'twas here a mighty city stood, that was the Rome or London of its time. But that was many centuries ago, and now it is a place all people shun. Yet I have seen this place, in honest truth I vow, beneath a green unhealthy sun. It was in the times of plague and famine that I ventured to the south, despite the pleas of fear and lamentation from each village elder's mouth. I was hardy then, a man of scarcely 20, and thought myself extremely brave. I brought weapons, clothes, and drink in plenty, and all the food that I could save. Nor was I alone. Half a dozen of my friends came with me on that fatal trail. They, perhaps, knew more of how the story ends, but I alone can tell the tale. We all had heard a rumor passed around, and beginning who knew where. The rumor said that crops and rivers could be found in the forbidden Southland there. And more, it said the place was not as grim as in its legendary depiction. Its smoky skies, its winding streets of brimstone were nothing more than fiction. And we believed it. We, as children are, were too keen to doubt the older folk, and we did list as travellers from afar their enticing stories spoke. And so we sought the land outside, trekking through our withered fields. Nearly all the crops that year had died, and rats ate the remaining yields. At night we would make camp and gaze in the direction of our goal, and in the sky I'd see a haze sending terror through my soul. The others felt it too, I'm sure, but none confessed unto the others. We each feigned bravery to reassure our fellow journeyers and brothers. We passed through forests filled with rot, and jumped whene'er a twig was broken. The air was green, the grass and leaves were not, yet not a word of fear was spoken. There were monsters in the forests. We would see them far away at dusk and hear them all around. We tried as best we could to flee them, but could see their footprints on the ground. One night a fellow disappeared, and we searched in vain for him at dawn, and though a sweeping path we cleared, he seemed to be completely gone. But we met him later when we were nearly out. He was thin and scarred and said he'd travelled by a different route. He had thought that he was dead when he'd gotten lost out in the night. But no monsters came for him, and soon he was transfixed by the southern light, the auroras dancing 'neath the crescent moon. We all had seen these lights, though none as clearly as our comrade now described them. Glowing sheets on the horizon, shimmering for hours ere growing dim. This filled us with fear, we scarce knew why, but as we left the woods we plainly saw, glowing evilly in the looming southern sky, the same surreal phenomena. As faintly rose the sun behind a smoky cloud, we saw the tall black spires far away, reaching through the fog like fingers in a shroud to greet the dismal dreary light of day. The air grew heavy now with putrefying stenches, unwholesome and unclean, like the rot of death, so vile it gags the mouth, the stomach wrenches, and we gulp and gasp for breath. Our faces wrapped in scarves, we slogged towards the towers and left the woods behind us. The grey-green mist descended and befogged the air and served to nearly blind us. The streets were cracked and empty all around, made of no substance I had ever seen. Rot and refuse scattered all across the ground. The buildings wore a sick and slimy sheen. But 'twas the sky was worst of all. dark green and purple, with clouds as black as night. The sun could hardly break this pall, and so all was cast in weird and ugly light. From the highest buildings vile creatures flew, dragon silhouettes soaring overhead. What they were not one among us knew, of such creatures none had heard nor read. We knew we should turn back, but the twisting streets were like a monstrous maze, lined with tenement ruins, creaking, listing while the path behind us vanished in the haze. 3 of us went in one direction, and I was in the group of 4 who came upon the central intersection that lay at the city's core. 2 streets crossed here before a massive pyramid, made entirely of stone. Its smooth facade was overrun with flora, the likes of which I'd never known. The flying creatures shrieked above, and we moved slowly towards the pyramid. We hoped the things would take no notice of us so long as that was all we did. At the massive structure's base we beheld a giant metal door, and at its foot a body lying face down on the rusty iron floor. Little more than tattered rags he wore, and a bony hand reaching forward. I walked up and rolled the body o'er, and saw then what he was reaching toward. Beside the door there was a broken lever, from which the dead man vainly stretched, and would stretch out for ever. And by this lever there were 3 words etched, that read simply, "Open shelter door." I paused a moment, gazing at the sight. But then I heard the flying creatures roar, and my comrades scream in fright. Claws and teeth and blood and skin, a chaotic mess of agony and fear. I got but one poor hopeless hit in before the thing could disappear. It flew away, leaving nothing but the shredded remnants of my friends. I ran back down the street, not knowing what to do, or even to what fearful ends that labyrinthine path would lead me. Fully panicked now, I cried aloud, hoping that the other group might heed me, and find me in that fearful greenish cloud. But no! I never saw those men again, though I stumbled through those streets so long. Once I thought I heard a cry of pain, but it was far away and hard to know. At last, sick and vomiting, and only fit to die, I left the streets, and felt the haze was lessening, and now the sun and sky looked clearer than they had for days. The ground was difficult and rocky, and each step caused me stomach-churning pain. But at last there came in view a beach at the edge of this formidable terrain. Peaceful ocean, with gentle rippling water, washed upon the pale white sand. Calming scene made me forget the slaughter, and the horrors witnessed on the land. The sun hung in the sky, its fiery natural shade, reflected in the rippling waves before me. The orange and yellow sunbeams played upon the sea, and cast a strange sensation o'er me. And then a shadow crossed the sky, and a massive black thing dove into the sea, letting loose a fell demonic cry that sent a bolt of terror into me. I have lived my life beside the ocean, and have watched the evil city from afar. Unto the present day I have no notion what the dreadful flying creatures are. I see them now and then at dawn, flying high above the darkness far away. At night I sometimes hear them landing on the little cabin where I stay. For years I wondered why they let me live, but as I pose no threat nor show resistance, I believe the things want me to give an account of their existence. And so I stare into the twilit sea foam as I write these words of warning.
I'll never see my family nor my home. They must long ago have given lights of morning. To ye who hear these words I bid ye know, avoid that wreck that on the dim horizon lies. 'Tis there the things of nightmare grow, and there that mankind's spirit dies.